two things. Everybody say
No. Hey, John. No.
thank you. All right. It's my privilege today to welcome you all to the National Honor Society's Assembly on Voter Education. Today we have Kim King. She's the Mercer County State Representative for Harrodsburg, and the Republican candidate for the Mercer County State Representative spot in November. And also with me is Jacqueline Coleman. She's a teacher at East Chessman, and she's the Democratic candidate for the Mercer County House of Representatives. Ms. King is going to speak first, and they're going to go over the Republican Party's platform and the Democratic Party's platform. And with whatever time we have left over, there's going to be a Q&A session for anybody who has questions. So, thank you.
Thank you, John.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It is a pleasure to be at Mercer County Senior High with you this morning. I certainly appreciate John Mays of helping to coordinate and organize today's meeting. We've been trying all winter long to coordinate schedules, and I'm so glad my session calendar allowed me to be here today. Actually, I was in your position 35 years ago. I know that sounds like in the Stone Ages, but 35 years ago, I was a Mercer County Senior High junior, and we had a voter registration drive in the cafeteria one day. And I'll never forget it. It was just a small table set up in the cafeteria, and there were two very nice ladies sitting there, and when I went up to register, they said, you know, this is all your complete information. I said, well, I really have no idea how to register, and they said, oh, honey, you have to register as a Democrat to be able to vote in the primaries. So I hope to present some evidence to you today that would dispel that myth for you as well. So I appreciate 35 years later the opportunity to come and present in a real practical way of what the Republican Party can offer to you. Let me start out by saying I am a sinner saved by grace. My faith is very important to me, and this last weekend, my husband Kerry and I, he's in the back, we went to see the movie God's Not Dead. So I don't know if anybody has not had the opportunity to do that. It's my understanding this is the last night that will play in Danville. I enjoyed the whole movie, but one particular scene really struck with me, and that was when Pastor Dave sent Josh a text message. And Josh was facing a challenge of how to present his faith in a convincing and compelling manner. And Pastor Dave simply said, don't get creative, just be truthful. So that is going to be my goal and my premise for presenting to you today is to not get creative, just be truthful. I submit to you that Mercer County has a long history of electing Republicans. You have a Republican state representative, Kim King. You elected a state senator Republican in Jimmy Higdon. Following redistricting, you now have another Republican for state senator, Tom Buford. Mercer County elected Brett Guthrie as U.S. Congressman. Kentucky has 6 U.S. congressmen, 5 of which are Republican. Senator Mitch McConnell wins Mercer County votes. Senator Rand Paul earns Mercer County votes. And Senator McCain and candidate Mitt Romney in 2008 and 2012 won Mercer County, even though they weren't successful nationwide. We have handouts for you today, so you can kind of peruse over this and reflect on what we're going to go over today. One of the handouts that you have is called Priests for Life, and it's a platform comparison. And I just got that strictly off the internet and had some copies made for your behalf. We're not going to talk about those today because, again, I want to share my real-world practical experience with you. The top sheet of your handout is my comments, just a brief overview of what we're going to talk about today with all of my contact information listed on the bottom. You will also see contact information for Rebecca Patterson. If Rebecca will raise her hand, she is the Mercer County Republican Chair, and we would love to list you all in the fight to protect conservative principles. You also received a Constitution today. Your U.S. and Kentucky Constitutions are both included in that handy-dandy book, nice and concise, where you can refer back to it. You also have a 2014 session review. That is your second page of your handout. We are just winding up the 2014 session. We have 2 more days. We're to go back next Monday and Tuesday to finish up your all's business. But I did bring legislative records. That is a comprehensive newspaper about all of the 2014 session news, and I have one for each of the senior advisors, and it coordinates directly with the second sheet. It will tell you a page number and where to go in that record, and they are even flagged for your convenience. I would love the opportunity to come back and share with you once we finally adjourn from session on the 15th. But let's get down to business. I submit to you, and again, it is the truth, that the Kentucky House of Representatives have been under Democratic control for 93 years, and their policies simply aren't working. According to the recent Bureau of Labor Statistics, Kentucky has a 7.8 unemployment rate, and that it doesn't even take into consider the labor workforce participation rate, which is much worse and just means those folks have stopped looking for work. Kentucky's citizens' health is rated 45th out of 50. We are the 45th out of 50. That is just inexcusable in our nation. At the top of your first sheet, you will see a web link, and I apologize, it is so small. I can send it to your advisors digitally in an email later this afternoon if that would help you be able to click on it directly. But it simply states, and this is from a Wall Street Journal, a very respected newspaper. It ranks Kentucky as the 50th, the worst run state in our country. I'm not going to read much to you, but I'm going to read this one excerpt. Although Kentucky doesn't place 50th in any one category, its overall poor source scores secures its place as the worst run state on our list. It is 43rd in GDP per capita, 47th in median household income, and is 48th for percentage of the population living below the poverty line. That's inexcusable. Kentucky also has an extremely weak S&P rating, that's our credit rating, of AA-, and that supports our assessment that this is the worst run state in our country. Minimum wage. One of the first votes that I took in this 2014 session was a firm no vote on a mandatory raising of the minimum wage in Kentucky. And I'm going to give you a few reasons why right now. It is an unfunded mandate to our local governments. One of two things, and probably both, would happen. Local projects would be cut because they couldn't be afforded, and taxes would be increased to make up for the difference. We have access to the Legislative Research Commission. This is a nonpartisan research group in state government that does statistical data analysis for us. Their nonpartisan results were that it will cost at least 14,000 jobs in Kentucky. It will also cause higher prices and will dramatically hurt our low-income families in Kentucky. What actually would happen is one minimum wage worker would pay the increased cost for another. What's a better plan? Well, a better plan is to have a better economic environment in your state. I offer up North Dakota to you as a perfect example of what I'm talking about. The average fast food wage in North Dakota is more than $15 an hour. Truck drivers make over $80,000 a year. Right to work. I am proud to tell you I was a co-sponsor of the Right to Work bill that was issued and filed in the 2014 session this year. What does right to work mean? Right to work means that a worker should not be mandatorily forced to be a union member. If they want to participate and be a union member, that's fine, but they shouldn't be forced to do so. The U.S. Department of Commerce, and again, this is a government website, and let me pause here and say, when you do research on the internet, and I do a lot of research on the internet, we need to be cautious about where we get our information. And this is a .gov, a government website that I'm going to give you this information from. There are several websites that are really just opinion blogs, and one of those would be the Huffington Post. The U.S. Department of Commerce says that Kentucky only has half the job growth of other currently right-to-work states. And right-to-work states, the wages there are 3 times higher than our Kentucky wages. Let's talk about Obamacare and Kentucky Connect. Kentucky's Democratic governor implemented Connect, the state's version of Obamacare, in Kentucky while the Kentucky legislature was on recess. It's just another one of those executive orders. We see that happen a lot in Washington, D.C. It's inexcusable in D.C., and it's inexcusable in our state. 300,000 plus Kentuckians have lost their previous health insurance. My husband and I being one of those families. I have my letter dated September the 23rd that said your current health insurance is no longer available. 80% of the Kentucky Connect enrollees are Medicaid, new Medicaid enrollees. And what that simply means is they aren't paying anything into the system at all. By 2017, Kentucky will owe 5% of those increased Medicaid costs, and they are in the billions of dollars. Premiums are increasing, deductibles are increasing, and it will definitely harm our rural hospitals like our own Hagen here. Christian-based companies are being forced, or trying to be forced, to provide abortion services for their employees. There are cases, I'm sure you're aware of the Hobby Lobby case, and there are others that are making their way to the U.S. Supreme Court. I apologize, U.S. And let me pause here and say that at the national level and at the state level, I am proud to say, there are no Republican fingerprints on Obamacare in the nation and in Kentucky Connect. Let me also talk briefly about the budget process in this 2014 session. The Democratic majority promoted, and their proposal included a gas tax increase of 1.5 cents per gallon. They issued a 269-page amendment on the day of the vote. Again, it sounds a little reminiscent of Washington, D.C. I think you've heard Nancy Pelosi say, well, you've got to pass the bill to learn what's in it. Inexcusable. It included unfunded mandates to 80-plus school districts, and it was going to sweep $93 million from restricted to general accounts. We really had an issue with this several years ago with our retired teachers, and we're still cleaning up the mess today. The House of Representatives, again under Democratic control, saw fit to sweep money out of our Kentucky retired teacher retirement fund, putting it into the general fund, squandering it, and now those retired teachers do not have the funds that they, in good faith, were relying on. The road plan. We had 15 minutes to consider a 222-page plan. 15 minutes. House Republicans asked for a 24-hour delay. Not saying no, just saying give us 24 hours to actually read the proposal. Every Democrat in the House of Representatives that day in attendance voted no to giving us 24 hours to read the plan. Every Republican in attendance voted yes to, hey, wouldn't it be a novel idea to read the road plan? The 2014 elections are very, very important. They're always important, but they are especially important this year. And if anyone tries to tell you that you need to be registered as a Democrat to participate in the primaries, I want to give you a little bit of background about the 2014 election. By all accounts, by every news organization that I've referred to and gotten information from, the most high profile, most expensive, most debated, most contentious probably election will happen in Kentucky this year, our U.S. Senate race. Senator Mitch McConnell is up for re-election and has a Democratic opponent. Well, guess what, folks? That Republican race has a primary this year. So if you are already registered as a Republican, you could participate in 2014 in the most important, most published, most contentious, most expensive, most important, by a lot of accounts, race that will happen in the 2014 November election. You're getting ready to embark on a new chapter of your life. It's very important. I'm so glad that you have the opportunity to get some different opinions. I'm sure you're going to hear some opposing opinions in just a moment, but I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share the Republican platform and the ways that it has practically been implemented in your state in recent memory. I appreciate the opportunity. We would love to have you on board, an active member of the Republican Party. We can sure put your talents and your energy and your passion to use. God bless you, and I wish you all the best in your upcoming endeavors. Thank you very much.
I would first like to thank Ms. King for explaining to you all of the Republican candidates that we have elected throughout Kentucky, and then reiterating the fact that we are the worst run state in the nation, and that's exactly why I'm running, because I want that to change. It was not long ago that I sat in your seat in an assembly at Mercer County High School that I was so glad got me out of Miss Daly's business class. And now I stand before you as your candidate for the Kentucky's House of Representatives. My time here at Mercer County High School helped mold me into the person that I am today. The teachers that you love, maybe even some that you don't love so much, your friends and your fellow teammates all have an effect on who you will become one day. When I played for Coach Souter, and yes, he is that old, he would jokingly tell me that our team motto was, whatever it takes. Mr. Davis, back then he was a teacher, and Ms. Currens were nice to us. And as students, we never forget the nice ones. Some of your teachers are my former classmates or even my family. Mrs. Horn helped me with my pre-calculus homework in high school. And even after all the frustration I caused her, I can't believe that she actually became a math teacher. Miss Milburn is my aunt, and she is an excellent teacher. It is my hope that I can one day be as good as she is. While it's true that the people around you mold you into what you will become, you too will have a lasting effect on them, so never forget that. All of you will take different paths, but you will forever be bonded by these years in high school that have brought you together. I'm often reminded of my classmates in my campaign for state representative. I think about how even though we were friends, our lives were also different. And so were our post-high school paths. I had friends who joined the military or the police force. Some became doctors and lawyers, and some became the farmers who feed us every day. In spite of our diverse career paths, we will always share our Mercer County roots. It is this appreciation of our diversity that makes me proud to be a Kentucky Democrat. To quote George McGovern, above all, being a Democrat means having compassion for others. It means putting government to work for the people who need it. It means using all of the available tools to provide quality health care and education, job opportunities, safe neighborhoods, a healthy environment, and a promising future for all of you. It means standing up for people who have been kept down, whether it's African Americans, women, or the homeless. It means taking care of our mentally ill, protecting our senior citizens, and supporting our active military and the veterans who fought so that you have a chance to vote. And most importantly, making sure all people are treated with respect and dignity. I'm a proud Kentucky Democrat. In simple terms, because we believe in the basic philosophy of we are all in this together. We believe that when our neighbors do better, we do too. We believe that when we care for one another, our future is brighter and stronger. When we work together to build an economic vision of shared prosperity, it puts us on a better path. I believe that where we fall short, we should be thankful that our Lord and Savior died so that we might live. And I'm thankful for His grace every day. As a Democrat, I believe we cannot be afraid to share our faith as part of our message, because through Him all things are possible. Nurses, farmers, firefighters, police officers, teachers, and small business owners are the backbone of the Democratic Party. But most importantly, those people are the backbone of our community as well. We are optimistic, hardworking folks who believe that you, the next generation of voters, hold the keys to innovation and a better future for all of us. But if you are to make the world a better place, we should help you get to where you want to be. Grants and scholarships, as all of you know, for college and post-secondary school are few and far between, while the cost of community college, tech school, and university tuition is skyrocketing. In the last 30 years, in just my lifetime, the average family income has risen 147%, while the cost of post-secondary education has risen 500%. Average families cannot compete with that cost. You should not have to start out your life under the pressure of crippling debt just because you seek to be better skilled, better trained, and better educated. Education is the great equalizer in this country. It is the conductor of the American dream. It is how each one of you will grow up to help this community and the Commonwealth and the roots that we all share. As a Kentucky Democrat, I am open-minded and willing to bring everyone to the table in order to reach a compromise that benefits our community. There is not much that saddens this government teacher more than watching the dysfunction in Washington. The partisan bickering among out-of-touch legislators who have forgotten exactly what they were sent there to do. People who would rather hold the country hostage for a single partisan agenda rather than do one simple job, which is to compromise. In Kentucky, we're not all that different. We love basketball, horse racing, and basketball. As a former college basketball player, and a high school teacher, and a current basketball coach, I know the struggles and the triumphs that each of you face every day. I grew up on a farm in Mercer County, showing horses and playing basketball. I even got married to a basketball coach on Derby Day, so I know what Kentucky's all about. Like I said, I want each one of you to enjoy the same opportunities that I have growing up. And I know each one of you will work just as hard, if not harder, to achieve your dreams. I subscribe to the belief that to whom much is given, much is required. And it is with that mentality and a genuine pledge of action that I ask for your vote in November. Not just because I'm a Democrat, but because I'm the best person for this job. I'm the one person in this race who will work to bring both parties together. And I will not only work for you, I will fight. I once sat where you now sit, and one day I want you to stand where I stand today for the next generation of Mercer Countyans. Thank you, and God bless you.
So we have about 15 minutes left. If anybody wants to ask any questions to the candidate. Jake?
So we can all hear it.
Do you feel your religion restricts your ability to compromise on key issues that can better the population as a whole?
I do not. I think my faith is the foundation of what makes me who I am, and it is part of my background. So, no, I don't think it's a hindrance.
On a similar note, do you feel that your religion specifically, your faith specifically, is the one that should be the basis for everyone's lives, even those with opposed beliefs?
I am a member of the Christian faith, the Christian Independent Church, the Carpenter's Christian Church is where I go to on the bypass, and no, I think there's room for all faiths. Is there a specific topic that you're trying to get at?
The way I was wording it, but I was thinking more on the general Christian belief is that it's our way, and that everyone else is wrong, and that's, to me, it seems like that's where you're coming from.
Okay, well, thank you for your feedback on that. I don't see it that way at all. I'm sorry, I disagree.
From now on, we're going to use my microphone.
Oh, great.
Stay here. Does anybody else have any questions? I saw Morgan over there.
Okay, this is a question for both candidates. You both say that you're Christians. Does that make you biased at all towards other religions, considering that you are saying God in your speeches and knowing not everyone is a Christian and knowing not everyone is going to agree with Christian legislation that you both want to pass?
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. And as a Christian and someone who believes very, very much so in all of the Bill of Rights, I believe in freedom of religion. I do not think that because I say anything, there you go, that I say anything about my personal religion, that you don't have the same right to say whatever you feel about yours. I believe that we're called to love everyone equally and treat everyone the same regardless of what their beliefs are. And if you're truly someone of faith, then that's what you'll do.
Well, I am a currently serving representative. I've been there, I was elected in 2010, 2012, so I've been there for 4 years now. And no, my faith has not been a barrier to working on any kind of legislation.
I see Lane over there.
Saying that you are Christian-based, and speaking for Jacqueline, I don't understand how you could support topics such as abortion and having God removed from many topics in this country.
Well, you just jumped to two huge conclusions because I've never supported either one of those things.
Okay, I know the Democratic Party does highly encourage that.
It was my understanding that this was not supposed to be a campaign rally or a debate today about a specific race. I came to present the Republican Party platform to you as best as I've seen it implemented. And yes, if we're talking about the differences between Republicans and Democrats, there is absolutely no doubt that the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives has stifled and stymied and silenced any kind of pro-life legislation for the last 9 years. A case in point, on March the 14th of this year, a lot of Democrats tried to campaign in certain races across the state and say, oh, I'm a pro-life Democrat, I'm a pro-life Democrat. Well, let me tell you something. On March the 14th of 2014, we had the opportunity to discuss pro-life legislation on the House floor. And all but two Democrats either voted against or did not vote. They had the opportunity to stand up for life, like they say in their communities that they believe, and they were too cowardly to put their name on the roll.
I would like to respond to that real quickly if I could. I know that one of the most controversial issues, I'm used to you guys talking, high school kids talking, it's okay. One of the most controversial issues that we face, obviously, is the issue of pro-life versus pro-choice. And I would like to take a minute to talk to you guys about the fact, and this is a government issue, that this is a federal issue, okay? This is a decision that was made at the federal level by a Supreme Court. I don't have any desire to be on the Supreme Court. What I do want to see is I do want to see our communities improved, and I do want to see the issue of abortion go away. Do we have to wait for Roe v. Wade to be overturned? I'm not waiting on that. My husband and I are both actively involved in an adoption right now because my goal is to make sure that children who are born and put up for adoption have a home someday. 2 years ago, my life changed forever. I have a basketball player, and it's so hard to talk about because my voice will get shaky, but I have a basketball player that called me and said, "Coach, I need your help." "Sure, what do you need?" "I need some place to go. I don't have anywhere to go." "What do you mean you don't have anywhere to go?" Found out that she spent the last 14 years of her life bouncing from house to house, and she literally had nowhere to go. And the right thing to do was to take her in and give her a better life. That child moved in with me at 14 years old, 2 years ago, with a 1.2 GPA, no chance of graduating high school, certainly no chance of going to college. 2 years later, she has a 3.2 GPA, and she's being recruited by Division I schools with a real chance to be the first person in her family to graduate from high school. It's 2014, and she's the first person in her family to graduate from high school. She will be. And so my challenge to you is to not get caught up in court cases and what's mandated and not mandated. My challenge to you is to think about what you can do to make this community better. I don't need Roe v. Wade to be overturned for me to go and adopt a child or for to take someone in who needs help. That's the issue. So anyone who tries to make it about legislation, that's not what is important. What's important is how each of you can go out and help someone in your community every day and make a better life for somebody.
We definitely have the opportunity to make improvements.
Do you have any questions pertaining to the difference between the Republican and Democratic Party more than the race? Okay, I see the question right here.
According to the paper previously passed out about political issues, one of the statements is marriage should be defined as a union between one man and one woman only. What are your political and personal views on that statement? That question's for both parties, not anybody in particular.
Very good. In 2004, as a private citizen, I voted in Kentucky to say that marriage is between one man and one woman. Now, what is the most important statement or part of that sentence? I said, as a private citizen. In 2004, I was not an elected official. Someone else was holding this position in 2004. In 2004, it was on the November ballot, and every person in Kentucky had the opportunity to vote for that. How did it work out? 75% of Kentuckians voted to make marriage between one man and one woman. So it was 25% said no, 75% said yes. It overwhelmingly passed. If you'll refer to your Constitution, did you all get your Constitutions yet or on the way out? That is now reflected on page 202. Page 202, section 233A, talks about the constitutional amendment vote that I just referred to. When I was elected in 2010 and again in 2012, I both times raised my right hand and took an oath to uphold the Constitution. That is now part of the Constitution. It was overwhelmingly voted for by the general population in Kentucky, and I will continue to uphold the Kentucky Constitution and that amendment. Thank you.
My personal opinion, as stated earlier, is that I believe that we should treat all people with love and respect and treat all people equally as we were called to do in the Declaration of Independence and teach about that document every day. As an elected official, I would uphold the law as it stands. Right now, I'm sure you guys have heard about all of the issues that are going on with regards to marriage equality in specifically the state of Kentucky. There was a decision by our Attorney General not to appeal a decision by a judge to recognize marriages from other states. Our governor is now going and appealing that with an outside attorney because he believes that that is not the situation, that the decision is made by states and not by judges. And I think both of them are right in their decisions because they're both very legally sound decisions for elected officials to make.
When you're elected to represent folks in an official capacity, you can't straddle the fence. You have to make a decision and be bold enough to stand behind it. Thank you.
Last question.
Okay. I'm going to change it up a little bit. What do both of you think on the dropout age was raised to 18? And what do both of you think about it being 18 or 16 as it was before?
As a high school teacher, I understand the importance of high school education, and it has been proved time and time again, statistics show that people who graduate high school have a better life, a better earning ability, better family lives than those who don't. And it is more responsible for us to help people to make a better life for themselves, and if getting a high school education gets them one step closer to that, that is something that I do support. I will tell you that the earnings that you will have as a high school graduate versus being a non-high school graduate over the course of your lifetime will pay dividends.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. I actually had the opportunity, as your elected state representative, to vote for that in the 2013 session. Let me give you a little bit of background. I have an incredible working relationship with all of the school superintendents that I work with. I literally have them on speed dial. We communicate via text, phone call, email on literally a weekly basis about certain things. My first concern with actually voting for that, I wasn't a yes vote until I did have counsel from all of my superintendents. My main concern was unfunded mandate and possibly unruly students in the classroom being forced to stay there 2 more years against their will and distracting from students like yourself that wanted to be there and learn. Okay, what I learned from my superintendent's work, we already have alternative classrooms in place in each of the school districts that I represented at that time. At that time, it was Anderson, Mercer, and Spencer County. Of course, we have Mercer Central here doing tremendous work. I go to their graduation services and try to support all of our students, and I have a little special place in my heart for our alternative classroom students. Need to give them, every opportunity to succeed. I did vote for increasing the dropout age from 16 to 18, and it did pass, but I made that decision after lengthy and frequent counsel for our school superintendents because I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be another burden on our local districts. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the cooperation, guys. I think it's time to release the fourth period now. So.